and start.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jacques Beauvais. I'm the Dean of the Faculty of Engineering at the University of Ottawa. I'm really happy that you're able to join us this afternoon. It's our pleasure to be able to have you here. Normally, I get the chance to be able to meet many of you when we do the open house in October and then in the spring, and we might have been able to meet last March, but circumstances made that impossible. So we really wanted to do a live event this afternoon to be able to have the chance to talk with you and to try to answer some of your questions and to see how we can give you some additional information about the programs in the Faculty of Engineering at the University of Ottawa. There are several people with me here today. We will have a couple of students that are here with us, and I'm really grateful for them to be here to be able to answer your question. We have Zoya Abujaish, who's a fourth-year electrical engineering student. Thank you very much, Zoya, for being here.
No problem. I'm happy to help.
And we also have Mohammed Abu Shaban, who's a fourth-year mechanical engineering student. Thanks, Mohammed, for joining us.
Anytime, it's a pleasure.
And so they're going to be here to be able to share their experience and answer some of the questions. And we want to get into your questions, but we do want to give you a little bit of information. And maybe our communications marketing manager, Valérie Sanson, can just say a few technical, give you a little bit of technical information as to how you can use the chat during the meeting. Valérie?
Yep. So thank you, Dean Beauvais, and hi everyone, welcome. I'm the Marketing Communication Manager at the faculty, and I'm Valerie. So just so you know, we would just want to let you know that there's some captions available depending if you want to switch to French, or if we're speaking French, you may want to switch to English. You can select those captions on your screen. Also, don't hesitate to send your questions through the chat. There's going to be a few introductions, but then we'll get to your questions. Definitely, it's going to be our pleasure to answer them. And then I will return to the Dean and we will continue with our introductions.
Merci beaucoup, Valérie. So the very first person who's going to be able to talk to you a little bit is our Vice Dean for Undergraduate Studies, who's Professor Michel Labrosse. Michel really is the one who is in charge of our undergraduate office and providing support to all our students. So I will let Michel introduce himself and say a few words. Michel?
Merci, Jacques. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being online and raising your questions later on. So I just want to say hi and potentially welcome, I hope, to many of you. You're at a critical time. You've been admitted, so it means that you've expressed interest in our faculty. So thank you for that. We have good reasons for being interesting, for sure, but we are here to discuss them again. And so I guess the main question on your mind right now is why us? And I guess there's also the issue of COVID-19, of course, that's heavy on everybody's mind. So I would recommend that you don't just think about COVID-19 when you make your decision. There's many things more to the Faculty of Engineering than what the response will be able to offer to COVID-19. So basically, I'm going to answer a typical question. What makes us special at U of O? Well, so for sure, we have great academics, but you could argue that every university in Canada has great programs. After all, engineering programs have to be accredited. It means that they have to meet quality requirements that are very stringent. But I would say that what makes us special is has more to do with the fabric around the academics. There's the residence life when you have access to it, of course. There's all the state-of-the-art facilities that we have and that we'll talk about. There's all the extracurricular activities that we have, dozens of engineering activities, of clubs, I mean. There's entrepreneurship training, there's all that stuff. So at the end of the day, what really makes us special is your interest, and how we'll be able to foster your interest at the University of Ottawa. I think I will keep it at that. and I'll be happy to take your questions.
Merci, Michel. The next person that we'd like to say a few words to you is one of our particularities is we've had a chair in entrepreneurial engineering design for 5 years now, and that allowed us to develop a lot of really good teaching innovation, design courses, design activities, and we also have brand new facilities for that. So I'd like to introduce Midya Sheikh Hassan, who's the manager of our Maker Launch. Maker Launch is basically our accelerator for new startups, but it's also where all the action is happening in terms of the design projects and the activities of the student. So I'll hand it over to you, Midya, so you can say a few words about something that does make us very distinctive.
Okay. Absolutely. I am just going to share my slides. Oh. I believe you all can see my slides. Yes, awesome. Okay, well, hello everyone. My name is Midya Sheikh Hassan. I actually went to the school twice, not only once, because I loved it so much. I graduated from chemical engineering in 2018, and I have been working at SEED for the past 5 years, actually. I believe Professor Hanan Anis is having some technical difficulties, but I have been working with Hanan for many years now, and I have had the privilege to actually see our center grow and expand to new facilities. So I'll walk you quickly through our spaces and what we do. Basically, our center kind of combines different approaches from academic to competitions to kind of programs and professional development, along with our kind of design spaces. So we offer the student with a whole complete package to enable you to combine both what you learn in school, but also with other kind of tools and resources that to help you grow as a student, but also to make the most out of your experience. So to show you some examples, we actually have prototyping facilities. I am right now at our STEM complex because we have been making face shields for the past few weeks. So I'm in one of our spaces. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's a very colorful space. It's one of my favorites. But we do have multiple spaces, including our maker space, where we're making the face shield now. We have the maker lab where we do all the training for kind of maker space technologies. But we also have the Brunsfield Center, which is the traditional maker's machine shop to some extent. To kind of give you an example, our spaces are really run and managed by students. So we have 7 managers, including myself, who are not students, but everyone else in the spaces, all our staff are students. So we kind of have that mindset for growth to allow students to get the hands-on experience in entrepreneurial engineering design, but also for you to be able to kind of apply what you learn in these classes into real-life applications. I will just go through them quickly. So we also have the opportunity to allow students who are interested to go on competitions, to join teams and learn about prototyping and designing, to be able to go and kind of compete in different competitions. The pictures that we have here is for the electric car and the Formula car, and that space is filled with lots of different competitions team, including the concrete canoe, concrete toboggan, the rocketry team, and many more that probably you're not going to remember at the spot. But to give you an idea as well is that we focus heavily on trying to enable the students to gain the hands-on learning experience, but with working with real-life clients and client-based courses. So at the undergraduate level, you actually get to work with real clients at different stages. So when you're still in first year, you don't really have that much knowledge on technical skills and kind of both makerspace and machine shop. So that's when you get to interact with the client. So everyone in the class will have the same exact client. You will interact with that client 3 times throughout the semester. You will get feedback from them. The lab component of those classes take place in our maker lab. So you get to actually learn about different kind of skills and knowledges in design that you need, but also you get the hands-on experience in technology. So you get to actually showcase that product for the client. And in many cases, the client actually go home with that product that you built for them at the end of the semester. In the second year, you kind of gain a lot more knowledge in technology, so it will be slightly more tech heavy. Every group and every section of that class will have their own individual client, and you also interact with the client throughout 3 meetings. You will have a budget to spend on the different products that you kind of need to to prototype the product at the end. And then toward the end of your studies, you actually get to go and find your own clients, go and find the problems you want to tackle, and you get to build businesses and startup ideas from kind of that class interaction. When I was in school, we did not actually, I don't think the first and the second year classes were open for me at that time, but I did take the fourth year class, and I started my startup out of that class that we're still running up till now with my team, which is what I do outside the university. So an example,
Media, I would interrupt you just for 2 seconds. Are you able to share the presentation part of your PowerPoint, because we're only seeing like the editing mode? I see it well. I don't know if everybody else sees it well.
Sorry, my laptop have multiple different screens. One day I will get the tech, but not today. Okay, so in the first year class, you actually get an example is basically the zero carbon sheds that student build. Second year classes, one of the examples of project we have is with a specific client. So this example is with George. George has cerebral palsy, so he wasn't really able to move his body. So the students have built a foot actuated TV control, remote control, so he can control the TV using his foot basically. So that's sort of examples of some projects that the students work on. Now, the interactive art is another example where students from engineering and art get to actually interact together and build interactive art pieces that we installed here at our STEM complex. So all the students who kind of join those classes will end up showing the project at Design Day, which is one of our kind of biggest event that we have at the faculty. So we have roughly 700, even more than 700 students every semester that showcase all their projects. And we have a large number of judges and community members who will actually join to judge and kind of give you that feedback. And usually at this stage, most of the projects will be almost good to go, and the clients get to take them the week after home so they can actually use it to tackle the problems they were facing. So I was actually supposed to be introduced at this stage to talk about entrepreneurship, but I have been talking about everything it seems. So entrepreneurship is also a kind of a strong part of the fabric of the faculty, and to enable the student to actually gain the entrepreneurial mindset. It's not about turning all of you into entrepreneurs and kind of telling you go and start your own business, but it's actually giving you the skill and the knowledge that you need so you can build the entrepreneurial mindset. So you can apply it in every stage in your life, especially when you are in school, but even within the jobs, or even if you want to start your own startup in the future. To give you an example, I co-founded a not-for-profit where we build prosthetics that are 3D printed to people who live in refugee and poverty zones. So we actually use the maker space here for prototyping and testing. When I was in school, I applied to all different competitions to get money. I got the feedback. I accessed the co-working spaces that we have. So I was able to kind of take advantage of all the resources that the university offered while I was still in school. So to go through this very quickly, there's really a funnel of kind of programs and stages for entrepreneurship. You start from classes, but you can also apply to different events that we have. I do run a 1-week entrepreneurship bootcamp in May. Unfortunately, this year we had to postpone it, but usually it happens a 1-week intensive entrepreneurship bootcamp. But then you also get the opportunity to work within our prototyping facilities, and for you to even go into entrepreneurship internships that we offer, but to even compete in competitions. So we have different competitions that you can compete in them, and you can actually receive money to help you prototype or purchase anything that you need to kind of take any idea that you have from an idea stage all the way to a business plan, but then to be able to apply it to other competitions. And our newest program that we offer is the Maker Launch program. And that program allows engineering students who are starting their own business ideas to actually scale and grow their business and to take it to the next stage. So what the Maker Launch program offers is offers students kind of a holistic package to help them tackle any challenges they might face when it comes to scaling up and growing their business. So we offer really an advisory board structure to allow the student to gain kind of the best advice and mentorship for one of the best alumni network that we have, who are many of them are engineers, but also have been very successful entrepreneurs throughout their journey after school. We also offer grants in that program, co-working spaces. We do have the entrepreneurship hub in the STEM complex, where the entrepreneurial student can actually use that space as an office space and co-working space. But we also allow the student to use the prototyping facilities in case you wanted to work on the hardware component of your business. The last thing, very quickly, is that we also offer a lot of kind of experiences that you can be part of outside the classrooms. The Simon Neme Summer Entrepreneurship School is one of those experiences, which is a 1-week intensive entrepreneurship bootcamp. We do offer lots of startup weekends throughout the year, so we have at least 2 per year, where you get to work with many people from across campus and community members to test and build business ideas. And we also offer MakerCon, where you can actually, it's kind of a hackathon, but for making, but mainly with the theme for accessibility. So you actually interact with individuals with accessibility needs to be able to make a product for them within just a weekend. And I believe this is the end of our presentation. And I'll be happy to answer any question any of you have regarding any of our spaces or entrepreneurship. And yeah, that's all about our center.
Thank you very much, Medea. Thank you for the presentation. You'll have heard the enthusiasm for working on real projects with real clients and trying to answer some of the problems that we're all faced today. And in fact, the team right now, as Medea mentioned, they're in the makerspace with all kinds of protocols for social distancing, but they designed facial shields for the health sector workers working with a hospital, with senior residences, with health clinics, and they're producing over 300 of those visors today to really help out the local community, and that's a good example. I will hand it over to Valérie, who will just give us the questions, some of the questions which were sent in earlier on before we started. And we have 2 other people, Julie Cormier and José Graveline, who are also on the chat trying to answer the questions that can be answered immediately. And we'll try to get through as many questions as we possibly can in the next few minutes. Valérie?
Parfait. Merci, Monsieur Doyer. Alors, commençons la période des questions-réponses. Let's start with the Q&A. There's one question that I've noticed that was submitted a few times, and I would love to hear our students answer it. So Zoya, Mohammed, this one is for you. What makes U-Ottawa Engineering different from other universities? I know Medea talked a little bit about it, and Vice-Dean Labrosse did also, but I would love to hear your point of view as a student. So Zoya, do you want to take it over?
Sure. So as Medea already mentioned, what I, as a student, find very exciting here are all the design spaces that we have access to and how easily we can get access to those spaces. It requires only a few hours of training, and then you're free to use it at your will for whatever you want to do. It could be a personal project, it could be a school project, it could be anything really. It doesn't have to be something specific to U-Ottawa even. And you can even apply to work in those spaces, which will give you more and more experience as a student in the Faculty of Engineering. So if it's hard for you looking outside for a job somewhere, this is a perfect space. You can build a community with people that are also engineers and in the same position as you. You can find people to work on a project with, and there's just so many things that you can do in the design spaces that are offered to students, and I find that the biggest and most helpful thing. And from what I've noticed, a lot of other universities don't seem to have the same facilities, or even not as many facilities as we do. And that's a very big plus, in my opinion.
Thank you, Zoya. Mohammed?
Thank you very much, Valérie. Again, I haven't had an experience of engineering in other universities, but I could say that the University of Ottawa is very unique, especially in the spaces that Medea had mentioned, and in the fact that the University of Ottawa doesn't just focus on the academic responsibility of a student, but also the extracurricular responsibility. So as an engineer, you really have this itch to develop, to design things, to invent. And the design spaces that are offered to you as an engineer, and even as a student at the university, not only give you the resources to be able to design and to create these things, but they also teach you. If you're unsure on how to proceed with something, the various experts that are actually residing in these spaces are able to offer you some intuition or some advice, or even they have some courses that you can take that help you proceed in that domain. So I think the University of Ottawa does a really good job in really segueing the concept of becoming an engineer, or be iterating on designs, of inventing, of creating, on top of being an academic star, I would say.
Excellent, thank you. I will turn to the chat now and get one of your questions here. So, from an anonymous person, will all of our classes, including labs, be offered online? Because some students who come from far cities don't want to move to Ottawa to take one in-person class. So would maybe Vice Dean Labrosse want to take that one?
Sure. Yeah, so absolutely, actually, 100% of our courses will be offered online in the fall. And especially for that reason, we know that some students will not be able to be on campus for many various reasons. So we want to accommodate them.
Perfect. Thank you. So let's go back to the questions here in the chat. How are we able to join these accelerator courses? I think that's referring back to what Midya was talking about. So I'm going to let Midya take that over.
Yeah, so the courses that we offer within SEED specifically are actually open to all engineering students. In some programs, I believe they're part of your course sequence. In other programs, you can take them as electives. I will have to double check my facts on that, but I do believe they're available to all engineering students. So when you register in the first year, you'll be able to kind of view them. The question said accelerator programs, were they referring to entrepreneurship programs or just the G&G classes?
Oops, sorry, Midya, could you repeat that again?
Did I answer the question or did I misunderstand?
No, I think you did, and there was a follow-up question. It's is the client-based courses for software engineering also?
Yeah, so any actually engineering student can take those classes, so they're not just the mechanical students. Some of those classes you can actually take them. So there's different client per class, so depending on your program, you can take the section you want. So some of them, for example, last year there was students had to build virtual reality simulation for patients going through chemo and radiotherapy. So if you're from a software background, then you would want to take this. The sustainable sheds, students from civil engineering usually take that one. Accessibility project, students from biomedical. So there are different kind of themes to match your interests. You can definitely take other classes with different kind of clients if you're interested in a different topic.
Okay. Perfect, Midya, thank you very much. Alors peut-être une question en français maintenant. On change un peu de sujet. Alors, comment puis-je savoir si j'ai été accepté à un programme? Et si oui, comment puis-je m'inscrire pour septembre 2020? Alors, c'est peut-être une question pour notre vice-doyen ici.
Oui,
vice-doyen Labrosse, je vous l'envoie.
Oui. Eh bien, donc, si vous avez demandé admission dans un programme, vous auriez dû déjà recevoir un accusé de réception de la demande dans les 2 semaines suivant votre envoi. Des fois, la réponse que vous recevez se retrouve dans le trash de votre courriel, donc allez vérifier ça. Mais vous pouvez toujours communiquer avec admission. C'est l'adresse admission@commercial.uottawa.ca et puis en demander un peu plus au sujet de votre application. Si vous êtes accepté, vous aurez dans le courriel l'information pour comment ouvrir une session dans le portail étudiant qui s'appelle UOZone. Et ensuite, vous allez pouvoir suivre l'évolution de votre demande d'admission, puis récupérer votre numéro d'étudiant, votre identifiant et ainsi de suite. Rentrez vraiment dans le système. Et puis, si vous avez confirmé votre offre d'admission 3 jours avant le 19 mai, le 19 mai, c'est quand l'inscription au cours commence. Donc, si vous avez fait ça 3 jours avant, vous allez pouvoir commencer à vous inscrire au cours, pour de vrai. Il y a beaucoup d'aides en ligne. J'ajouterais juste qu'il y a beaucoup d'aides en ligne pour savoir comment vous inscrire et ainsi de suite. Donc, n'hésitez pas à consulter notre site web. C'est bien fait.
Parfait. Et Vice-doyen Labrosse, we have another question that's related to that. Some students are asking how do they make their schedule for next year and what they should take. Do you have any advice for them?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you know what program you applied for, and then there's a specific course sequence for that program. So what is a course sequence? Well, it's a series of courses that have been selected such that you're building progressively on your knowledge. And there's a specific order to it. So you don't want to improvise there. Please just follow the course sequence. It is indicated if you go to the undergraduate studies of office website and look for your specific program, and then you will have the information for the incoming year.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I know this is a question that we've touched a little bit upon, but I think we need to go back to it. A lot of people were asking, how is my freshman year going to look like in a global pandemic? And I'm wondering if the dean would like to take that one.
Well, I can start certainly and mention, and maybe some of the other colleagues can say a few things. One of our challenges right now is we don't know what the public health directives are going to be come September. So we're living in a lot of uncertainty, but we're working very hard on it. One thing I can tell you, for example, is we're already preparing right now with Professor Hanan Anis, who's our chair of entrepreneurship and engineering design. She's preparing a design project for the very first week when students come in next September to be able to already involve our students, our new students, in a design project, so that you can get the experience of what engineering design really is from the start. So we're working on that right now. We're developing it. We're developing our approaches in courses that we're giving this summer right now, and we're also working on the labs that we're doing in the courses right now. All our courses are online right now. And I can tell you that every engineering faculty in Canada, because we have meetings every week to discuss this, are talking about the best practices for the labs come next fall. We all have that same concern, and we're all finding solutions, and we're sharing our best practices. There will be a variety of different approaches. In some cases, we'll have some remote labs that can be accessed at a distance. In other cases, we'll be working in a virtual environment. We're doing a lot of work this summer to develop some virtual environments to try and do these labs. We're really trying to find the best solutions possible. And what we're discovering is also some of the good practices in ways of doing will hopefully also teach us a lot that we can maybe use again later on after this. So for the whole year, it's hard to tell. We're expecting that probably there will be some relaxation of the measures come the end of the summer, but we're really ensuring that we can provide a good experience from the get-go. So that means online courses. We have a lot of international students who are not going to be able to come here. We have a lot of Canadian students who are not going to be in the region. So we need to offer all of those courses online. That's what we're preparing right now. We need to be able to offer the labs online, and that's what we're working on now. And hopefully we'll be able to have some activities on site, and we'll be able to adapt and find what is the best ways to do that. Are we going to be able to do some labs in person? We hope so, but we're preparing for everything right now. I don't know if you want to add something to that, Michel, in terms of how we're preparing for next September.
Sure, yeah, I have a few things perhaps. Online can mean several different things. So the reassuring thing is that you're not exposed to the COVID virus. But other than that, you might be worried that, well, is it really all recorded stuff? Is it boring as hell? Yes, it can be. So it won't be all like that, I can tell you. Many profs will be doing giving their lectures live, and then you should attend those. And then they will also record their lectures, so you can actually review the lectures later on. There will be tutorials that are synchronously given, meaning that it's live as well, and you can ask questions. There can be chats, there can be direct questions through video. So there's really many different modes under the umbrella of online, and different profs will use the capabilities differently. So there will be quite a variety of ways of delivering a course, but at least we know that our profs want to make the experience as interesting as it would be in person.
Excellent, thank you, Michel. And talking about going online, and if we go virtual in September, Will there be a chance to meet other students and create connections with classmates? So some students were asking if that would be something possible and how we would go about it. I'm thinking my colleague Media may have some answers for this one.
Yes, absolutely. I completely understand where these questions are coming from, because I am starting a master's degree in September and I was supposed to be in China. So I feel very kind of up in the sky, not knowing what's happening in the globe. But the whole idea is what will happen the first week of September is that you will actually get to work with your classmates and people that you have never met before virtually to tackle some design challenging. So imagine that you will have different events happening throughout a week where you can actually have some social events, icebreakers, getting to meet your professors, your classmates, but also being able to kind of build some skills and apply them immediately. So to give you just an example of what we have been doing over the past few weeks in the space, I'm not sure if you guys can hear any of the noises behind me, but we're actually adding the serial numbers to the shield, and we actually have to use a hammer, so it's very loud here, but hopefully you guys are not hearing anything. But we have been actually making those shields. We made over 7,000 shields over the past few weeks alone, and there's only 5 of us that are working across the entire spaces. So if you think that there's only 5 of us with just basic knowledge or just the ability to test and prototype things, we were able to make that large number. Just imagine what you can do with your classmates and your colleagues and everyone else if you were able to learn a bit of technology, understand challenges, meet some alumni, listen to other communities, people who are recruiting or hiring, understand what everyone wants. But at the same time, you're saving the time of everything happening to be able to plan ahead for the future. So this week will be very interactive, lots of activities. You will have components to learn some stuff for challenges, but also to meet other classmates and to enjoy the week as much as possible. So it's definitely not going to replace week 101 to some extent, but we will do our best to make it as fun as engaging as possible and to allow you to kind of find different themes and topics happening, so you can actually find something of an interest, so you can add your passion and your energy to it as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Media. I think we have a student, Mohammed, would actually like to share his experience of doing online courses this summer. So Mohammed, I'm sending it over to you.
Thank you, Valerie. Yeah, so currently I have a full course load this summer, and to be honest, the online experience has made things more convenient for me. I was able to take an extra course. Typically, a full course load is 5 courses, but I took a 6th one just because being online has allowed me to save the time of actually commuting from where I live to the university, which is usually an hour to 2 hours a day. So that extra time has allowed me to fill it in with an extra course, and I don't even feel the stress of it because now you don't need to walk between classes, or you find things to be much more efficient. So to be honest, having an online experience has made things a benefit rather than a negative aspect of it, I would say. Thank you, Valerie.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that with us. There are some more technical questions here from students who are asking if it is possible to take courses which are on another engineering program sequence. So not necessarily the one that they choose, but if they can go off course sequence. I think probably Vice Dean Labrosse could take that one. That's okay with you.
Well, I'm not sure if that is the question, but if the person is asking about changing programs, well, you need to wait until the end of the first year to be able to do that, and it's not guaranteed. It's based on your CGPA, your grade essentially, and also whether or not you've taken some compulsory courses for the other program that you have in mind. So there are restrictions, but it is possible.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, I want to say that this is just for program change. You can't just pick and choose anything you want out of other programs or in first year. That's a big no-no. As I said earlier, you have to stay with the course sequence for your program.
Parfait, merci beaucoup. J'ai une autre question pour vous, professeur Labrosse, en français cette fois-ci.
Oui.
L'un de mes cours à mon école ce semestre, soit physique 4-21, ne sera pas évalué pendant la pandémie. J'ai vu que ce cours est obligatoire pour rentrer en génie l'année prochaine à Ottawa. Est-ce que cela causera un problème à mon admission en génie mécanique coop?
Non, on comprend la situation, hein, tout le monde est pris sous Covid, là, c'est pas le fun. Ce qui va se passer, c'est que vous aurez une admission conditionnelle. Donc, quand vous aurez, l'admission sera confirmée quand vous aurez passé le cours.
Parfait, merci beaucoup. Je vais retourner ici. Bon, je vais retourner au chat, prendre une autre question. Une peut-être avec les résidences. How will residences work since fall classes are online? Will residents have a reduced price? Is anybody on the panel would have an answer to that one? The Dean?
I don't think we know yet because there are too many things that are still up in the air. I know that the university is working on it, but I think until we hear more from public health to know exactly what's going to be permissible, not sure. I don't know if Michelle, if you guys have talked about this, but I suspect it's probably still a little bit too early to talk about that. But Michelle, do you know any more?
No, unfortunately, I don't have money information.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Michelle, there's another one for you here. When do we hear back about scholarship we have applied to?
Actually, you should be hearing about that soon because the decisions have been made at the office last week. And so there's a lag, from the faculty to the central administration and then back to the applicants. But yeah, it shouldn't take long now, if it's not already done.
Perfect, thank you. Another interesting question. Are there any research opportunities available to do in first year of bachelor studies? I know Zoya did a bit of research in her undergrad. I don't know if she would like to talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So in my second year, after I had already gotten into my program and finally chosen what I wanted to do, there was an opportunity that I found out about through a professor called the Undergraduate Research Opportunity Program. It's called Europe, essentially. And what it is after you've gotten into your second year, so you can do this in second, third, or I think fourth year, you find a professor who's taught you a course that you really like. You talk to them about doing research with them. And once they've approved, you have to write an abstract about what your research will entail. And then after moving forward with that, you have to submit that abstract to the Europe program. If they approve it, you get a scholarship to do the research and you do it throughout your full year with your professor. You could either be the head of your own research, you could be working on a team, you could be working with your professor. It just all depends on what your professor does, but it is complete research experience tailored for the student. So I found that very helpful.
Excellent,
thanks. Wise.
Thank you, Zoya. Question here with regards to our co-op program. How does the co-op program at U of Ottawa differ from other universities? And maybe we could share a few examples of co-op placements. Is there anybody on the panel that would like to take that one?
Well, I can maybe make a general comment and then hand it over to Michelle or one of our students also. Our co-op program at the University of Ottawa is the second largest one in Ontario. We have, I think, just a bit more than 1,000 students in the Faculty of Engineering who are in our co-op program. The placements, if we just exclude what's been happening this summer with the COVID situation, which has caused a lot of turbulence in the system, our placements are typically between 95 and 99% for the students being placed into industry. There are a lot of nearby industry. The Canada North Technology Park, which is in the Ottawa area, is the largest technology park in Canada. So we have a very large number of companies. The university actually has a footprint out in Canada. We have some offices and we hold all kinds of activities. We hold some regular job fairs out there, and we work very hard to try to connect our students with the companies. And we also do it for all the other areas, whether it's civil engineering, mechanical, chemical engineering. We work with the industry. We have good networks, and we try to connect our students with those through the job fairs and for the co-op placement. So we have a pretty strong program. Again, it's the second largest one in Ontario, and maybe Michel, you'd like to add a few words regarding that.
I'll add that one term of co-op typically pays for $9,000. So basically that pays for tuition for 2 terms if you're a Canadian student, for example. So that's really interesting. Typically there's 4 co-op terms that are 4 months that are spread throughout well, 3 to 4 internships actually, depending on the programs. So they are spread throughout your 4-year program. And yeah, there's training for students to basically present their CVs, present themselves during interviews. There's a huge database that's maintained of previous employers that are interested in our students. So co-op students are not left on their own to fend for themselves. There's big help for them.
Excellent, thank you. And I think Mohammed wanted to add something to that. Thank you,
Valérie. The co-op, as a mechanical engineering student, I had my first co-op term last semester in the winter. It was very interesting. The co-op experience is very fun, I would say. You start off by having a bunch of interviews with various employers. I had up to 20. You get to talk to a bunch of people. They even give you feedback on how your interview went. They teach you on how to properly get interviewed and how to write a resume. And then from then on, you're selected and you go on to work with the proper employer. I got to work with the Department of National Defense as a mechanical engineer. You don't really, so software experience is valued, but you're not always requested for it. But I would say that it helps you find a job much faster in my personal experience. So thank you very much, Maddie. Perfect,
thank you. Here's a question for media for the Maker launch. Students want to know, how are we able to join these accelerator courses? So I'm sending it over to you.
Yeah. So to give you an idea, with our entrepreneurship competitions and events that we have, they all happen actually extracurricular, so they're not part of the classes, with the exception of the entrepreneurship 4th year class. But every year in September, we have an idea level competition where the students compete for $5,000. It's just a 2-minute pitch competition. And in February, the students compete for $10,000, and it's basically a business plan competition. So the Maker Launch is basically the next step. Once you have built a startup and you have actually validated your business model, you have secured clients, and you want that support to help you take your business to the next step, Maker Launch is the kind of program for that stage specifically. So it is an extracurricular program, and the students, it's an application based where you have to apply and showcase your business model, showcase examples of client engagement, and list down your milestones. So you'll be able to kind of show us how will the program help you, but also for us as a program to be able to help you as much as possible in your kind of startup journey, I guess.
Perfect. Thank you. One topic we didn't really talk about was engineering clubs and associations. So I have a question here from a student saying, will we still be able to join engineering clubs and associations this fall? And are they allowed to carry out their club activities, or are they restricted in any way right now? I assume they would be restricted a little bit, especially if we're going to be online, but would anybody like to add to that?
Yeah, well, our clubs are still fairly active. Sadly, this summer, as we speak, some of them should be out in competitions. They go to competitions in the United States. They go to national, international competition. So there's been a little bit of there in that they haven't been able to participate in their competitions, and some of them were really ready. I mean, we have some of our clubs are like top 5 in the world in their respective areas in rocketry with the super mileage cars. I think Mohammed wanted to say a few words about that, but certainly what starts off in September. They do a lot of design also, so there will be a lot of activities going on. But I'll let Mohammed, who I can see right now and seems to want to add to that. So let's give him a chance to talk about it.
Okay, Mohammed, it's yours.
Thank you, Valerie. Thank you, Jacques. Yeah, so in terms of clubs, there are some components in the club where you can do at home. So like software aspects or simple design aspects that you can do on design softwares. Those things are still going on. Meetings are not as frequent. We still use online softwares to be able to meet, but it doesn't mean that everything is halted completely. You can still get recruited online virtually and start doing some, so you start getting some responsibilities from that club on a virtual basis, things that can be done at home. I'm still working in the back here with certain things, so it's not always restricted.
Perfect.
And one thing I can maybe add also is a lot of the training they need to do. For example, in the Brunsfield Center, where we have the machine shop and all that, we're developing all the trainings to be able to give them online in a virtual environment to be able to get our students up to speed as quickly as we can.
Perfect. And Mohammed, you do look quite busy with all your projects in the back. There's a question that's about the entrepreneurship option. So how do we add the entrepreneurship option to the mechanical engineering, in which year, and are there any special requirements? Would Vice Dean Labrosse like to take that one? Oh, just unmute your there.
Yeah.
Oh, again, sorry, Michelle.
Okay, you okay? Yeah. So things are pretty flexible for that option. Of course, the sooner you know you want to join it, the better, so that no time is wasted, but you can still join the option later on in your program. You'll have to take, essentially there's a couple of courses that are specific to the option, and they are not necessarily first year, second year, third year, or fourth year courses, so you can take them later if you think of the option later. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. And there's another question addressed to you, Vice Dean Labrosse. It's an international students who would like to defer his admission. Is that something that is possible if they cannot make it for the fall semester?
So there's only one intake during the year, unfortunately, at the Faculty of Engineering, and it's during the fall. So basically, it's there's no option to start your program, for example, in January 2020. That's unfortunate, but that's how it is.
But the courses will be offered online, so it's possible for international students to join us in September and to become involved right away if they want to.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Student asked, you talk about the link to Arts for Design. Do you have a relationship with the Telfer School of Management to provide exposure to business, finance, and marketing? Would anyone like to take that one? Media right there.
Yes, so actually all our entrepreneurship programs, we do them in collaboration with the entrepreneurship community in the city and even within different kind of organizations, but also with the Telfer School of Management. So we have really ongoing relationship with them in terms of coaching and teaching, but also as judges in competitions. And I know some of you asked if our competitions are Dragon Den-like style. All our competition are Dragon Den style, but we do also hire kind of public speaking coaches to help the students know how to actually pitch and present. And many of our trainings and programs and let's say entrepreneurship boot camps, they're being taught by entrepreneurs in the community. So it's not just by professors or people from academia, but they're also by entrepreneurs in the community. We have really a strong ongoing relation with many entrepreneurs, but also entrepreneur services in the city. So we do have a strong relationship across campus with different faculties, but also across the city with many different organizations and groups.
Perfect.
And in our management option in the program, many of the courses are taken in Telfer. So we work quite closely with them. And at the graduate level, we have several programs that we co-manage with the Telfer Business School because we obviously share a lot of common interests.
Perfect. We've talked a lot about the engineering design courses, and there's some questions here on how will we run those courses in the fall if they require certain equipment, such as engineering design courses, computation courses, etc. So would Media like to touch a bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So my colleagues are now running some of these classes online, and there will be a lot of the components and the trainings to be done virtually online. And I was actually asking one of my friends who is a TA in that class and what will happen. And he told me, well, if you need to build something, you still have to use your laptop to design and code. So it's that step is the most important thing. There'll be lots of training in virtual reality. There's lots of components that will be done online and trainings. They have actually even recorded the trainings that happen for the physical machine shops and other equipments as well to give the student the feel and understanding. But a big part of those classes is actually that, that component haven't changed as much because you still have to design and do lots of the design components online.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Media. We have received quite a few questions about the laptop equipment purchase. Does anybody have any recommendations on what type of laptop should students purchase for their engineering degree studies?
Windows.
Oh, okay, so yeah, let me send you live here.
Personally, I found that buying a Mac for your engineering classes it never works out well, just because you have to download so many softwares and you have to run so much. And although Mac has insanely powerful processors, they just can't seem to handle all the graphics that comes with running softwares like, for example, AutoCAD or SolidWorks, or even code blocks. People had to download a virtual box to go and be on Windows to get code blocks, and it's just too much to have to do all those things. Plus, you're paying for something that costs almost $3,000, and you get a processor that is an i7 10th gen, and then you pay for something that costs $3,000. You get an entire PC that has the highest specs on Windows. So,
okay, so I'm going to stop Zoya right there to say this clearly is a highly personal. I can see Media that's doing fine with her Mac out there also, and to get us off track of that so that we don't completely derail, probably just get back a little bit to the previous question if you let me. In other words, I'll distract everybody from this. What are we doing for design? We're developing VR activities, and we're even sending kits to some of our students this summer to be able to help them to do some hands-on. And a lot of our software also are remote access, and you can do. So that was me trying to get us off of the track of the Mac versus PC debate, which is always risky.
Sorry,
and it's
bad.
Not new, right? We had that battle when I was doing my undergraduate degree, so it goes way back.
It's never-ending battle.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just noticed the time. It's the time is flying by. We'll take a few more questions before we wrap it up. One for Vice Dean Labrosse here. Students are asking about courses that students can take in the summer to get ahead of their studies. Would you have any recommendations?
Typically, those courses would be either makeup courses. If you missed courses in physics or math, there would be opportunities to do that. Beyond that, there's nothing much. No, you just relax and get ready. We want you in good shape and fresh.
Perfect. And another question for you, potentially, if you could help us out here. There's some students that are having difficulty deciding between software engineering, data science programs. What are the key differences and I should consider before making a decision?
Okay, so that's a good question. Data science is much more related to math, I would say, than software engineering is. While I'm at it, I'm also going to distinguish between computer science, software engineering, and computer engineering, just for the general audience. I know it's not the specific question, but so computer engineering, let me remind you, at U of O, it's about hardware. Computer science, that's about programming, of course, in general. Software engineering is also about programming, but at a much larger scale for huge projects with millions of lines of code, for example. So there's aspects of project management, for example, team management, and so on. So data science is yet another beast altogether, and it's more related, grounded in math. And applications of programming and science in math.
Perfect. Thank you for this explanation. There's like tons of questions still coming in, and I feel like we would prepare an FAQ that we could post online, maybe for students to refer to it. There was a lot of questions that were answered, and there are still so many coming in that we may not be able to get to, but we will prepare an FAQ and we will add it to our website, and we will share the link, especially if you were, well, we have your coordinates now, so we will make sure to share with all of you. There was one more question here about applying for medical school. If it was, sorry, looking over to my questions here.
While you're looking at that, can I maybe just suggest that Michelle, who's an engineer who does touch on biomedical aspects a little bit in mechanical, to just say a few words about the biomedical mechanical program, because it's a little bit particular to us to be able to offer that. So maybe you can say just a few words about that program, Michelle.
Sure. So that's really, this program, Biomedical Mechanical Engineering, is an offshoot of the mechanical engineering program. So it's heavily grounded in mechanical engineering, looking at the aspects of biomed that have, mechanical implications or needs. So think of orthopedics, design of stents, where you have hardware at stake. And so there's 8 to 10 courses that are added to the program that are purely, specifically relevant to biomed. So there's a strong background there in biomedical engineering as well. So this program is not a feeder program for a medical school. So that has to be clear. In the States, they do that a lot. Many biomed programs are feeder programs, essentially. If we have some of our alumni that went into medical school, but they had to take additional courses on their own.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So with that, I will pass it on to the Dean to say a few words before we leave you. And like I mentioned, we will be adding an FAQ to our website, so feel free, and we'll share it with you, so feel free to go and have a look. Alors, merci beaucoup. Je passe maintenant la parole au doyen.
Merci, Valérie. First of all, thank you for all of you to joining us today and to give us a chance to address some of your questions. We couldn't do all of them in the short hour that we had. I have to say, though, that the coming semester in September, it's actually a little exciting because we're going to be doing a lot of VR labs. We're going to be doing a lot of remote labs. We're going to be really working very hard during the summer, and we are right now, to try to come up with the best practices we can to put into our courses. I think it's going to be very exciting in the first week with the design project that we're going to do and that we're developing right now. And I think we're going to do some exciting things. So I'm still sad that I didn't get the chance to meet many of you. One of the most fun parts of my job is to go walk around in the labs and talk to the students, hear about their projects, see how passionate they are in the team space, and when we get close to design day. So I really miss that. So I like everybody else in the faculty, we're really looking forward to the chance to seeing you in person. But in the meantime, we're going to be ready. We'll have prepared, we'll have innovated, we'll have come up with all kinds of ways to deliver our courses online. And we're really looking forward to have as many of you as we can joining us next fall. And on that, I think, thank you, and see you next time.